All right, guys, so this is week 7 of learning from home. And believe it or not, this is already going to be our last week, our last two grades for fourth quarter, which is crazy to think about that we're already at the end of this and what would have been pretty much the end of our school year if we were in the classroom. So this is just this is crazy to me. I'm sure it is to you. All of this going on has been pretty crazy, but you're still going to have a set of notes and then a homework assignment that goes with these notes to turn into me this week by Friday morning, 10 a.m. So same deadline that we've had the past 2 weeks. And if you turn in your homework after 10 a.m., I'm only going to be able to give you half credit. So make sure you get that homework assignment to me before Friday morning, which is going to be May 1st. So, which brings me to my next point. May 1st is technically, in Georgetown at least, and probably other schools as well, May 1st is going to be the last day that us teachers are allowed to assign anything. So anything that we assign this week or up to this week has to have a due date by May 1st. So that's why it's your last week of schoolwork to do, unless you are behind. I'm going to post another video in addition to our notes and our homework here, which you will get credit for watching, but this other video that I will post and I will send out a reminder for is just a video that is going to wrap up everything from the class, because we've had some distance learning, we've had some date changes, and it's the end of our school year, so I just need to close out the class and kind of wrap everything up. So I will post another video that is not notes, it's not homework, but you will get credit for watching it. So be on the lookout for 2 videos this week. But good news for you guys is if you've been keeping up with your schoolwork so far, this is going to be it. This is going to be the last 2 things that you have to do for me. Well, 3 if you include watching our kind of wrap-up video. Okay, so I've had some debate with myself, basically, some thought about, where we were going to take our last week here. What was I going to do with this last week that we have? And I, after a lot of back and forth, I decided to just kind of introduce what would have been our circles unit. I talked to Mrs. Bertram, who a lot of you will have next year for math, and I asked her. I said, where should I take my circles unit, because we're not going to be able to get to all of it, and we've only got this 1 week left, and this is kind of what we settled on. So we would have gotten more in depth with our circles unit in class, but we just don't have the time to do that this fourth quarter. So what we're going to do is, as you can tell, probably these notes are already filled out. I am just going to introduce the vocabulary that goes with our circles unit. Because this vocabulary will help you. I know you're not going to remember every single thing from these notes in years to come, but it'll at least help, pinpoint things in the future for your math classes. And even when you take the ACT, some of these parts will hopefully be familiar to you if you have a question on circles. So enough of me babbling on about circles, but obviously we're moving on from our trigonometry unit. We did our sine, cosine, and tangent. And this vocabulary is, the basis, the foundation of our circles unit. So this is called the Parts of Circles Dictionary. So new unit, new week. Your homework is going to be vocabulary based, just like these notes. So what I'm going to give you the option of doing is, I do need you to copy down these notes. So that is a given. But since they're already filled out, I'm going to give you the option, if you want to just write these down as we go. You can abbreviate if you want. You can use, highlighter. You can use note cards if you want. That'll be harder to send me a picture of. But anyways, take these notes as you want. If you want to just pause the video and catch up and write things down, you will have to have pictures that go along with the vocab term. So just do what you can. With the vocabulary that we're given. So I will talk through these, and I just need you to copy them down however you want. So the first term being circle, okay? A circle has a set of points that are equidistant, okay? So equal distance from a given point, which is the center. So you have a center to a circle, and every point on the edge of that circle is going to be an equal distance from the middle. Okay, so this is our picture of a circle. We're calling this circle P because the center of this circle is labeled as point P. Okay, so a circle has, all of these points, equal distance from its center. Now a radius, our next term is, it should be familiar to you guys because it's a segment with endpoints in the middle and on the outside of the circle. So a radius basically goes halfway across a circle. All right, it always starts or ends in the center, and then it goes to one spot on the outside edge. So here's our picture that goes along with radius. We have point A on the outside edge of the circle, and our center is point P. So a radius is from A to P, halfway across. Our next term is called a chord. So a chord, this is going to be a new term, but a chord is a segment, okay? So it's a line that ends, and those endpoints are on the outside of the circle. So here's an endpoint J, here's an endpoint K. This is a chord. A chord does not always have to be right here. It could go across this way, it could go here, it could go in an infinite number of directions, but it ends in two places on the outside edge of a circle. That is a chord. All right, a diameter. So this one goes along with radius. A diameter is a chord basically because it has two endpoints on the outside of a circle, but it passes through the middle. So a diameter goes all the way across, and a diameter is twice the size of the radius or twice the length. So if you were to take your radius of any circle and multiply that length by 2, you would have the diameter of that circle. So diameter goes all the way across, endpoints on the circle, and it goes through the center. So that's our diameter. Next term is a new one. It's called a secant. A secant is a line that intersects the circle in two places. Now a secant is much like a chord because it's got the 2 points along the circle, but a secant is a line. Okay, it's not a segment. It's a line that goes on forever in both directions, but it does hit the circle in 2 places. So we're calling these in the picture point X and point Y. Okay, so it intersects and it keeps on going. A tangent, this is another new one that you'll see come up in later math classes, but a tangent, it intersects the circle at exactly 1 point, so one place. So a tangent is a line. It's going to continue on infinitely in both directions, and it's just going to hit the circle in one spot on the outside edge. Okay, so it intersects here at point Q. And that point Q is called the point of tangency. So the point of tangency is the point at which the tangent line intersects the circle itself. Okay, so this is the point of tangency. The line here, you can call it PQ, that's your tangent line. Okay, so this is our first page of parts of a circle. Okay, this is all of our parts of a circle vocabulary. All right, page 2. So this whole set of notes and the homework that goes with it is vocabulary, okay? So a central angle, all right, lots of vocab that goes along with circles. A central angle is just that. It's an angle, but the vertex of that angle, okay, so where the angle sits, that is at the center of the circle. And the 2 sides that make up that angle are radii. So radii is just the plural form of radius. So from P to A, that's a radius of the circle, and from P to B, that is a radius. So a central angle is just that, an angle that meets or has a vertex at the center point. Okay, so we would call this angle, or we could call this angle, angle ACB. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the one below it. Sorry, APB, because P is our center point. Now let's talk about this angle ACB. I got a little ahead of myself here. This is an inscribed angle. So an inscribed angle is different because the vertex of that angle is on the circle itself. So it's not in the middle like a central angle, but it's somewhere along the outside. Now the 2 sides that make up that angle are just chords, okay? They're not a radius. They don't go halfway across the circle and stop at the center. They just go from one place on the circle to another. So from C to A and from C to B, that's just from one part of the outside to another. Okay, so an inscribed angle is an angle that's inside the circle, and the vertex, where that angle is just on the outside, somewhere along the outside edge of the circle. Now an arc, this is a little different. It's a portion of the edge of a circle. And it's defined by its two endpoints. And it has a symbol here that just looks like a semicircle or an arch. So an arc, we would call this, all right, this is from A to B, this is an arc. Okay, it's along the edge, and it will have two endpoints. So it doesn't go on forever, it's just from point A to point B, but it's all along the outside. Okay, now you have two types of arcs. You have a minor arc and you have a major arc. So the difference is that a minor arc is going to have a measure of less than 180 degrees, so it's smaller. Now a minor arc, you would just use two letters from endpoint to endpoint to name that arc. So this is minor arc AB. Okay, it starts at A, starts at B, or ends at B. A major arc is just bigger. A major arc is still along the outside edge of a circle, but it creates an angle bigger than 180 degrees, and you would use three letters instead of two to give it a name. So this major arc that is much bigger than the last could be arc ACB. All right, so that's how we name it, and it's just bigger. It's bigger than half, okay, the arc of a circle. All right, speaking of that, a semicircle is an arc, okay, with endpoints along the diameter. Now remember, a diameter goes all the way across a circle, and its points, its endpoints, go through the middle, okay? And there's an endpoint on each side. So diameter goes all the way across, and if that arc has the endpoints along the diameter, it's called a semicircle, and those are equal to 180 degrees. So minor arc is less than 180, major arc is greater than 180, and a semicircle is equal to 180. So it's exactly half of the outside of that circle. Okay, now I know this is a lot of writing, okay? It's all vocabulary, but it's different from our other notes because there was no, all of our other notes had problems to solve or set up and then solve, and I wanted to do those with you, but with this type of notes, since it's just vocabulary, I thought I would just show it to you with a picture and just let you copy it down, however you like to record vocabulary the best. So this is it. Like I said, this is it. This is our last set of notes for the school year for geometry, or geometry honors. So just get these copied down. And now I will give you a homework assignment separate from this video, but I want to give you, as the last part of our notes, I want to give you a picture with some examples of, besides just the one example in each of these vocabulary term boxes, I wanted to give you a picture with these terms labeled. So I'm going to change my paper, and I'm just going to let you can kind of pause the video here, and I'll try to make my video a little bit higher. But this is just some examples. So I've got 16 examples, and we've got our parts that we just went over here. So this is the picture I need you to copy down. It does not need to be beautiful. It just needs to be, the best kind of representation you can make. And then, so pause it here, copy this down, and here are going to be 16 examples. So each of these terms has a name, obviously, and some of them have their own unique symbols, like the arc symbol looks like a little arch, and then we have our line segment symbol, our angle symbol. So make sure when you're copying these down, copy them down with the picture, okay, so that they are together. But then make sure you're labeling. You don't have to pay attention mostly to the numbers, but at least make sure you have the names of these parts, like the diameter is line segment QN. Okay, include these with your answers. Don't just write down what these terms are underneath the picture, because you're not going to know where in the picture these belong. Okay, so these are 16 examples that I just want you to copy down. You can pause the video and just label them. Okay, so this is semicircle QRN. So when you have the picture in your notes, you can go up to where Q, R, and N would be. So here's our diameter. Okay, here's semicircle Q, R, and N. Okay, so you can find them in the picture, and you've got 16 examples that go with it. Now, I'm going to post, I think it's just one homework problem, I believe. I'll have to double check, but I'm just going to have you do some homework questions that have you doing this. You're just labeling parts of a circle. So I think this notes video would have been a lot longer if I had written these out as we went along. So I'm going to stop it here and just let you finish copying these down. And again, be on the lookout for a second video this week that you will get credit for watching. That just kind of wraps up our geometry classes. So thanks, guys.